Welcome to part three. So we got up to the bike craze of the 1890s. Um, I'm not going to go into the history of the bike, but it had basically been in development for a long time, and then the kind of bike that we know today was invented. Now, women were still wearing, like traditionally, women were still wearing these big dresses, and they wanted to ride bikes. It was a fashionable thing to do. Like, men were doing it, and actually, it was the invention of the bike and going on bike rides was like an acceptable way to spend time together, like men and women, without a chaperone, and it was considered like innocent enough to do and not be scandalous. So at one point, because women were clearly getting interested in this and wanted to do it, at one point someone even invented a bike that had both pedals on one side so that women could ride side saddle the way they did when they were riding horses. I don't even know how that would work. Anyway, so bloomers had like evolved and weren't the bloomers that were fashionable 40 years before. They weren't really cool anymore. That outfit had gone out of fashion, but instead women were designing and making, like, because you also had sewing machines easily available for use at your house. Like, the Singer sewing machine had been invented and you could now whip up clothes at home. You didn't have to go to someone to have them made. So women were being incredibly inventive and designing and making, I think my favourite term is a bifurcated skirt, which basically just means a skirt that's been split in two. So I suppose like maybe culottes now, or when you look at it, it looks like a skirt, but actually, it is two separate legs. And so they were inventing these. The bloomer evolved into something called the knickerbocker, which was more kind of like jodhpurs, but rather than going all the way down the leg, they stopped at the knee and were tight at the knee, but baggy sort of around the legs, like the top of the legs. So knickerbockers became very popular cycling wear for women. There is a really good episode of We Are History podcast where they talk about the history of women riding bikes. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. They're very knowledgeable. But again, like the papers, cartoonists, like satirists, absolutely just took the piss out of them for these, like, wearing these things and daring to go cycling by themselves. There was something called like bicycle face. Basically, like, your face will get stuck like that if the wind blows, that vibe. And there was all this scandal around that. Anyway, women carried on doing it, even though some women were like, mud was thrown at them, they'd have abuse thrown at them, like, just for wanting to ride a bike, because it represented independence and freedom and autonomy for a woman out by herself, didn't need a man anymore. Oh my God. So this was happening. Women were taking part in popular sports like tennis, and like horse riding. It was more acceptable for women to wear the same as men, rather than riding side saddle in this huge dress. So that fight for practicality and like rational, practical clothing was like making baby steps. And it was all about comfort and freedom of movement. So women did wear dresses sort of to play tennis in, but they then, you know, these trousers and shorts started creeping in. But they were showing legs. Oh my God. So this is all going on. This is like 1890s onwards. And then you get World War One. Let's get into that next.